Huddled around the amber glow of an autumn bonfire, we whisper these tales of the forbidden, making you tremble at the thought of what might linger just beyond the halo glow of those leaping flames, their glaring eyes hidden in the twilight of twisted branches and falling leaves. Of course, they're only stories, cautionary tales of tragedy that couldn't befall the wise and worldly. No, my jaded disbeliever, very little distinguishes fiction from reality. Only our preconceived notions serve as a barrier between the two. All legends must begin somewhere. Why not with you? Your name handed down generation to generation, told and retold, your legacy reduced to folklore. Wouldn't you be desperate to be believed? Who you were would be forgotten, but your name remembered, in a headline so heinous that you too become an urban legend. Tonight, my children of rot, we will examine urban legends not far removed from truth, tales that resonate so deeply within your subconscious that they linger on today, unbound by the passage of time, each of them more desperate than the other to prove themselves as fact, waiting silently with depraved anticipation for that moment you realize they are more than rumor. I will call them forth, one by one, from my cabinet of atrocities. Recant them at your own peril. Now, darken the room, and we shall commence. Now, I'm sure you've heard this one before, but it never gets any easier to listen to. Earwigs are said to do just what their name implies. When a human host dozes off to sleep, they find their way to your pillow and squirm deep inside your ear canal, burrowing deeper and deeper until they found a warm spot to lay their eggs, your brain serving as a nest for thousands of hungry insects. Earwigs do not lay their eggs in living creatures. But don't get too comfortable. Rochelle Harris found it difficult to sleep when she returned home to England from her vacation in Peru. However, it wasn't her return to the daily grind that kept her up at night. Rochelle was deafened by an unrelenting scratching sound. Crippling pain seized one side of her face, and a foul discharge poured from one ear. Rochelle sought professional help, but each time she was treated for only a minor ear infection. Her agony coldly dismissed. It wasn't until she spoke with a specialist that the true horror was revealed. Rochelle's entire ear canal was filled with maggots that survive on warm, living flesh. Parasitic screwworm fly larvae were incubating inside her skull. Rochelle recalls a fly buzzing near her ear during a hiking trip, but thought nothing of it at the time. It took only a moment for the carnivorous insect to lay its eggs, and within 24 hours they hatched to begin feeding. Doctors removed the twitching lump before any lasting damage could be done. But imagine what could have happened if Rochelle hadn't consulted that specialist. One doesn't need to explore the jungles of Peru to find this menace. They were thought to have been eradicated in 1959 from the United States, but as of 2016, swarms have been feeding on the deer population in Florida. Go figure. They may begin with one coast and spread like the plagues of Egypt from one to the other, laying waste to every living creature in their path.
Oh, shoo fly, don't bother me, shoo fly, don't bother me, shoo fly, don't bother me. Oh, there was an old lady who swallowed a fly, and perhaps she'll die.
Hardy har. It would appear once again that Lady Audley wishes to communicate with you, the mortal realm. Let's see what we have here, shall we? Reflections in a looking glass, a clever trap and snare. Visions of eternity are bound within its glare. Narcissus pawns with vanity their token. Bloody is her name that leaves all faiths shook and broken. Indeed, Lady Audley, indeed. It's a favorite game at slumber parties and summer camps. But when does a game end and a ritual begin? If you're feeling brave, the steps are fairly simple. You step into a darkened bathroom, locking the door behind you. Light a small candle so that it may serve as a beacon to guide the spirits from the abyss. Stare into the mirror while pressing one finger to the glass. Touching the glass serves as a means of establishing physical contact with the afterlife. Then begins the chanting. Repeat over and over again, Bloody Mary. As your vision in the mirror begins to blur, a face that is not your own will start to materialize. Then you know she has come to call. There are variations of how it must be played. Some require water running with faucets full blast. Others say that it must be done precisely at the stroke of midnight. Superstitions abound regarding the mirror. An ancient practice called anoptromancy involved summoning spirits to scry messages in a mirror reflecting water's surface. During Shiva, the 7-day Jewish custom of mourning, it is important to cover all mirrors in the home with black cloth. This is to prevent the deceased soul from becoming trapped inside the mirror on their journey to the afterlife. Legend insists that one must never look into a mirror with the room lit by only candles. This is said to reveal whatever entities may be haunting your home. You becoming aware of them, and them becoming aware of you. All of these may serve as proper origins to the game of Bloody Mary, but Giovanni Caputo gives it its fact. Giovanni Caputo is a vision scientist at the University of Urbino in Italy. Caputo gathered 50 volunteers for his experiment. Each volunteer he asked to stare into a mirror for 10 minutes. What Caputo referred to as the strange face illusion would usually begin after only 1 minute. What the volunteers perceived varied, but included a warping of their own facial features, seeing deceased relatives, the appearance of animals' faces, and even visions of nightmare creatures, such as ourselves. All 50, however, did say they experienced a sense of otherness. Caputo suggested that this is a combination of two effects in the mind, troxler fading and neural adaptation. To fully combine the two, Caputo recommends dim lighting, so that the facial features are still clear, but offers weakened color perception. Why not try it yourself? Determine whether it's science or superstition. A gentleman away on business decided it was the perfect chance for just a little infidelity. His nagging wife would never know, and being this far from home, who would tell her? He visits a cocktail lounge near his hotel to seize the opportunity. His eyes are drawn to a raven-haired beauty sipping a martini at the bar. He makes his move, and to his surprise, she seems equally interested. The two waste no time with flirting. With their intentions clear, they leave for his hotel room. Spotting how nervous the businessman seems to be, she insists on pouring him a drink to settle his nerves. He obliges, hoping it eases his guilty conscience. He begins to undress as she pours the drink. She warns him it may be a little strong, but it's her specialty. Over-eager, he throws his head back and downs the drink in a single gulp. And before he can even put down the glass, the room begins spinning. He stumbles towards the bed, and as the room fades to black, he sees her concerned expression turn to a twisted smile. Numbing cold is all he feels when he finally awakens, cold with a dull ache just below his ribs. As his eyes open, he realizes he's in his hotel bathtub. up to his neck in bloody ice. Beside the tubs, a letter written in hotel stationery. "Thanks for the kidney, handsome. I'd call for help if I were you." She knew he was a businessman from out of town, and all alone, an ideal victim for black market organ trade. Another drink, anyone? The Gurgaon kidney scandal came to light in New Delhi, India, 2008. Dr. Emmett Kumar was the mastermind who had devised this business scheme. Destitute residents of nearby impoverished communities were offered the opportunity of a lifetime, the chance to escape the life they knew. Work was promised at a local clinic. All one needed to do was apply in person. They realized shortly after arriving for their interviews that this was not an ordinary job offer. Instead, they were asked to sell their kidneys to wealthy patients who had come from around the globe to take advantage of their derelict position. Some were so hopeless that they agreed to the proposition. Others weren't as cooperative, but all were operated on. Raids were made by local authorities after being tipped off by an anonymous source. This led to the rescue of 5 people who were being prepped for surgery at that very moment. Paperwork uncovered at the time suggested that there were over 600 victims, and at least 3 hospitals were in on the swindle. Arrests were made, including doctors and several paying clients from America and Canada. However, Dr. Kumar, if you can call him that, evaded police and escaped to wildlife resorts in Nepal. Fingerprint analysis revealed that Dr. Kumar had been arrested 4 times before under different aliases for the same crime. Kumar attempted to bribe practically everyone involved with his capture, and it seems someone took the bait. Money talks, and perhaps loudest, in courts of law. In 2013, charges were inexplicably dropped against Dr. Kumar. Just remember that the next time you go under the knife, your organs hijacked and auctioned off to the highest bidder. A dream honeymoon was planned by a starry-eyed couple, but upon arriving at their destination, they realized too late that they had made a mistake with their reservations. Their room wouldn't be available till the following evening, and the hotel was completely booked. With no other alternatives being so far from home, the couple decided to check into a cheap motel just a few blocks away. After all, it was only for one night. What's the worst that could happen? The two were exhausted from their journey and decided to go straight to bed. As they settled in, they noticed a peculiar stench seemed to permeate the room. They called the front desk, but to their dismay, their complaints went ignored. Frustrated, the newlyweds began trying to find the source of the smell themselves. After searching the room, they realized the putrid odor was under the bed. Eager to get some much-needed rest, the two flipped the mattress, thinking that the smell was only trash overlooked by the maid service. How wrong they were, for staring back at them were the bulging eyes of a festering corpse, left only inches below where they were meant to sleep. Perhaps it's the raw, visceral nature of this urban legend that has helped it bleed from the land of myth into your reality so often. More than any other urban legend, this one has proven itself true time and time again. Helpless victims brutalized in the secluded comfort of a budget motel, where carnal desires of every nature go unquestioned, leaving ample opportunity for a king-sized nightmare. Richard Kalinsky, better known as the Iceman, even disposed of bodies by these means. Iceman shot, stabbed, and strangled his way to infamy, but his nickname was earned by freezing corpses as to confuse the time of death. He was primarily a hired hitman, but occasionally he killed for sport. One of his 200-plus victims was both business and pleasure. Iceman was working with 2 accomplices, Gary Smith and Daniel Deppner, in a car-stealing ring. The 3 avoided police by checking into questionable motels. Gary Smith became too sloppy, and for this he was poisoned and strangled by the Iceman. His earthly remains, twisted and broken, jammed inside the bed of room 31 at the York Motel in New Jersey. 4 days later, his body was found. For Gary Smith, crime did pay, at least enough to cover his funeral expenses. In room 222 at the Budget Lodge in Memphis, Tennessee, the legend was to repeat itself again. In 2010, Sony Millbrook vanished without a trace. Eventually, the room was cleaned out, her possessions thrown away, and new guests stayed there. 5 guests were given the keys to the room after Miss Millbrook's disappearance, and all 5 complained of a strange smell. The hotel's answer to the problem was to stuff fabric softener sheets in the busted ceiling tiles. It was later determined that Miss Millbrook had been beat and strangled to death by her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Lakeith Moody. Her final resting place beneath the bed of room 222, where she was left for over 2 months. The most recent of urban legends take shape here on the internet, in the form of creepypastas. Creepypasta is the pet name for unsettling legends perpetuated by the computer generation. Tagged, shared, and reposted, spreading from home to home like a wildfire. Oh, aren't they cute, Artie? We've fought and earned our status as urban legends the old-fashioned way, with a good story and a body count. Yes, indeed, Artie. They are passing trends, but we classics never go out of style. However, all of us legends have one thing in common. Our truth is shrouded in mystery. One contemporary case seems to step from that mist of doubt and speculation. A suit-clad spidery figure with inky black tentacles looming 8 feet tall, and upon his shoulders a head with no face. And his name is the Slender Man. He roams the silent streets of the suburbs late at night, peeking in windows, searching for children to spirit away. His story can be traced back to 2009, but the attempted murders committed in his name took place in 2014. Two preteen girls, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weir, were to become his proxies being his faithful followers who must shed blood to show their devotion. The two believed that for their service, that they would be granted a place in his dilapidated home. According to the girls, his kingdom of shadow was somewhere in Nicollet National Park. Peyton Lutner, a mutual friend of the two, was to become their carefully chosen victim. Initially, she was to die on the night of her birthday. Morgan and Anissa were to carry out their heinous deed while they slept over at her pajama party. Having a change of heart, they waited till the following day, leading her to the woods with the false pretenses of fun and adventure. It was there they stabbed her 19 times, 2 wounds affecting major organs. Had it not been for a passerby, little Peyton would have never survived. It didn't take long for authorities to catch up with the two. The girls only showed remorse when they discovered their attempted murder was unsuccessful. While interrogated, the two insisted the murder had to be done. Otherwise, they faced the wrath of the Slender Man. The two were tried as adults, pleading not guilty by reasons of mental disease or defect. The youth now waste away behind iron bars, waiting to know their fate, whether it be an order from the court or in the hands of the Slender Man. But does their steadfast belief in the Slender Man make him more than just an internet hoax, establishing him as some unspeakable deity, a supreme being, given life in the land of truth by bad dreams? Does the near death of Mr. Lutner make him something of a grim reality? Legends becoming truth, truth becoming legends. Now do you see there's no hope for a division between light and shadow? Don't dismiss these legends, for as a wise friend of mine once said,
"Your disbelief destroyed the faith of my congregation. Without them I am nothing, so I was obliged to come."
But wait, there is one final legend. This particular legend is my favorite. It's about a YouTube series, and that once you've seen it, you become infected with a strange bloodlust, uncontrollable. And unfortunately, you've just watched it. I do hope you enjoyed tonight's little program. For tomorrow, you could be our next show subject of interest. Only time can tell for certain. But if I were you, I'd err on the side of caution. And as always, remember me as you scroll by. If you liked our show, then please subscribe, as we are now. So you must be. Prepare for death and follow me.